You see, man, that was not the right. I was trying to. I let you off so mercifully. So.
Hey, you know what though? We're gonna do what's best for you. I mean that. We're always gonna look out for every.
I was
Arizona.
trying to find common ground, man. That was.
I know that's.
Yeah, it's just all right.
That's okay. No, but it's totally okay because the difference is between.
I mean, you can't answer. You couldn't say 3 words in a row. Okay, so it's like, I asked you one thing. It's ridiculous.
All right, all right.
We'll bad faith actor, man. I try my best to find common ground. You say something like that, it's ridiculous.
Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl News. My name is Brian, and Rob Schneider and Charlie Kirk tag team together to grill this college brat into oblivion. This kid is a huge reason why Kamala Harris lost. Let's dive in.
But my question is, when you go to these like events, like major Republican, conservative, is it like now? Do you face some bias when you're speaking, or do you believe some of the stuff that you're actually saying? Because I know you have like good quotes and stuff, but I just feel like when you're like in a sea full of like MAGA hats and stuff, is it not like hard to like speak against that, or do you like actually believe everything that you're saying in a way?
Yes, I do believe everything I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's a bad faith question. I do, because your assumption is that we are insincere in our beliefs, but we're here. The only benefit that we have here to come here today is to talk to people like yourself because we love our country.
So in the spirit of hearing ideas that we might always hear, tell us why you're supporting Kamala Harris.
I just like her character more than I like Trump. I don't like his. No.
Guys, give Miles an opportunity to uninterrupted to tell me, because it's fascinating. I didn't know her character was something worth.
I like that she's trying to like work for the middle class. That's what I see a lot, and I think that's what she is.
So yeah, Miles. So I have a question. Mm-hmm. What has she or Joe Biden done for the middle class in the last 4 years?
No, not too sure about that.
That's okay. So
but I'm like slowly getting there.
No, that's
like,
okay.
Election day, I feel like that's okay. We can like work our way up.
For sure, no, and it takes a lot of courage to come up to an event like this. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you where we're coming from, and then maybe I can convince you to trade out that hat for a MAGA hat. Just maybe, okay? That's a long shot. We'll see. So Kamala Harris is part of a tradition of career politicians that run very persuasive, sexy political advertisements that are nowhere in alignment with what they've actually done. Mm-hmm. So let's look at the issues we care about most. I imagine, Miles, you want to be able to own a home at some time?
That's like my main goal. I want to like own
awesome.
a home.
And good. Honestly, Miles, everybody in this audience should be able to own a home as easily as your parents were. But right now, especially here in Phoenix, it's so out of grasp. When Trump was president, the average mortgage rate in Phoenix, Arizona, mortgage payment was $700 a month. Now it's $2,000 a month here in the city of Phoenix. Said differently, it required $75,000 a year to buy a home in Phoenix when Trump was president. Now it's $135,000 a year to buy a home. You might say, well, Charlie, how is that Biden and Kamala Harris's fault? They decided to spend $6 to $7 trillion of unnecessary government spending right out of the gate that increased asset prices. Additionally, they allowed 10 million people into the country that we didn't account for. That also increases the demand for housing, especially here in this state. Secondly, we care about ending the wars. I bet you're pretty interested in that. War is not, no, maybe?
No, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's end the wars.
Yeah, so Kamala Harris has demonstrated and surrounded herself with people that are aggressively in favor of the Russian-Ukrainian war, and the same people that designed the failed wars of Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and Libya. For example, Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, Leon Panetta, John Bolton. Donald Trump is the only president of an unbroken chain of 32 years to start no new wars and actually bring peace to the Middle East. We did not have any new wars under Donald Trump. And finally, I mentioned this briefly, the border. I believe that everyone in this audience should be given preference above somebody who illegally comes into our country that was not welcome or invited. When Trump was president, we had the most secure border in history. Under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we've had 10 million people, and they get taxpayer-funded benefits. They get luxury hotel rooms. They get flights into the interior of the country. And so on those three issues, home ownership, the border, and war, Donald Trump doesn't just say, he did. And I would just ask you, you don't have to answer right now, because I know it's hard to get in front of an audience of people like this. Can you show me that anything Kamala has done that shows she's better at Trump than what Trump did on those three things?
No.
That's okay. I appreciate that. Yeah. I want to encourage you to do your research because it is very it's very tempting to fall for propaganda that you just see on TV. Last thing I'll say is this. The guy's been shot multiple times, facing 700 years in prison, They took all of his money from him, his business empire, and he keeps on fighting. There's something about him where he cares deeply about the well-being of your life and your livelihood to put our country first. Miles, let me just ask, what we talked about, those three things, did you hear that previously before in a fair setting?
No, I did not hear it in fair setting as before, but it's good to be on one-on-one and just like have a conversation about that.
Cool. Well, Miles, I want to thank you for coming up. Please.
Hey, Miles, appreciate talking.
Think about what we said, and
Okay, yes. Let's turn Arizona blue, everybody.
you see, man, that was not the right. I let you off so mercifully. So
Hey, you know what though? We're gonna do what's best for you. I mean that. We're always gonna look out for every.
I was
Arizona.
trying to find common ground, man. That was.
I know that's.
Yeah, it's just all right.
That's okay. No, but it's totally okay because the difference is between.
I mean, dude, you said turn Arizona blue. You can't answer. You couldn't say 3 words in a row. Okay, so it's like, I asked you one thing. It's ridiculous.
All right, all
It's
right.
a bad faith actor, man. I try my best to find common ground. You say something like that. It's ridiculous. Next question.
Charlie's right. That is 100% ridiculous. This dude admitted on camera that he's never heard any of these talking points. He'd never heard that Bernie Sanders basically had the democratically elected primary system taken from him because the Democrats, the Democrat brass, cared more about the superdelegates, and the superdelegates all wanted Hillary. Just about all of them. Funny how that works when it's that much of a number. That doesn't sound very democratic to me. And so you could see this dude squirming a little bit when new information, that little back and forth twist like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable, or wow, it's either I'm very self-righteous and I'm right, or it's, oh, I've never heard this before, I'm in a more defensive stance. So this dude is ultimately arguing in bad faith. He came there in bad faith. And instead of just saying, thank you for the information, I'll consider it, but I'm still going with Harris. That's a respectable answer. Because ultimately that's a situation of, you led the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And the dude's wearing a Harris hat. And there's a lot to unpack with this dude, but when you then say, let's turn Arizona blue, oh, give me a break. Give me an absolute break. This dude did not care to hear the truth. He did not care to hear perspective. He did not care to hear a fantasy. He came there to virtue signal. And it's been a while since we've seen a real virtue signaler come along, because a lot of these virtue signalers are at least true believers. They'll say, we need to deal with the homeless crisis, or capitalism is everything wrong, and I'm better than you kind of situations. And the last part is what this guy's doing. It's an I'm better than you situation. It's a peacock trying to strut around with its tail feathers, and no one's buying it. And no one's buying that stuff anymore. And so the only reason I can think of, and there's a lot to unpack here, is that this dude, first off, this is taking place in Phoenix, which, by the way, Arizona went for Trump quite substantially here. So funny that this guy had no clue how the electorate was going to turn out. So there's problem number one. There's clue number one, that he's not really from Arizona. So he either traveled there or is a student there. And if he's a student, he probably traveled from California. And he looks like he's sporting San Diego Padres gear, which, if that's the case, if he's probably from California, he's that liberal, but he is well-mannered, well-spoken, decently well-educated. He doesn't come around speaking nonsense or speaking hood, so to speak. We've seen some people try to do that. It doesn't usually work. This dude is speaking in a very calm, collected manner. So my guess is his dad is military. So San Diego Padres, military father. My guess is Marines. So black, intact Marine family loving the Democrats. All that really checks out. As a Southern boy who has multiple black neighbors on his street, who's worked alongside these people, even worked with a couple of ex-Marines. Sorry, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. But Marine black Democrats tend to have an unusual bond, and they stay Democrat. They don't steer from the course. They toe the party line, because that's sort of in a Marine's blood. That's just sort of the camaraderie they have. So this dude, of course, is going to be all in the tank for Harris, and there's no real way to break through to him. But that ultimate ending, even though Charlie Kirk used the example of home prices have basically, mortgages have doubled because the inflation under Joe Biden got that much worse. Not to mention that makes everything harder to buy, which means it's harder to land speculate, and that everything gets more expensive, and all that gets passed on to the consumer, to you, the average Joe, the average person out there. This hurts Americans. And so for this guy to not understand that basic connection tells me he doesn't know exactly what he's doing. All right, he doesn't actually know what he wants because he hasn't evaluated the steps to get there. As a millennial, that's kind of a common thing here, but this dude's probably Gen Z. He doesn't look to be about 30. So, Charlie Kirk gives a housing example. Rob Schneider talked about how the Democrats are anti-democracy, and it does not matter which point after correct point after correct point is given to this young man Miles. He refuses to take anything at any value, and at the end shows his true intentions, that he cares more about virtue signaling and saying, let's turn Arizona blue, despite having a litany of reasons to vote for literally anyone except Kamala Harris. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it does not matter how well Rob Schneider or Charlie Kirk did here. This dude is simply not savable. And Herman Cain, may he rest in peace, always said on the radio, save the savable. And this kid, it's going to take a while. So ultimately, I have only one thing left to say. Bless his heart. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl News. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.